Have you ever looked at coding and just thought, nope, not for me. That's for geniuses or something? Well, what if I told you that's not true? Today, we're going to tear down that whole idea. We are going to show you a simple, clear path to learning how to code, because honestly, it's probably way easier than you think. All right, let's get into it.
And think about that for a second. We're not just talking about huge Wall Street firms. Code is literally everywhere. It's running your bank, your social media, your video games, everything. So learning to write it isn't just about getting a new job. It's about learning the language of the world we live in now. It gives you this incredible power to build things, to solve problems, and to really understand how things work under the hood.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with why you should even bother. Then we'll walk through 3 really simple steps: how to start, what to do next, and how to get ready for the job market. And at the very end, we'll reveal the one big secret that pulls this all together.
All right, first things first. Let's talk about the why. Because honestly, this is where a lot of people get tripped up. They have this idea in their head about what coding is, and it's usually wrong.
You know exactly the image I'm talking about, right? The coder aesthetic. But here's the thing. That has absolutely nothing to do with actually being a good programmer. It's just a costume. The real barrier isn't having the right laptop or wearing a hoodie. It's just getting over that voice in your head that says you can't.
And that brings us to what is, without a doubt, the most important step of the entire journey. It sounds almost silly to say, but this is where almost everyone gets stuck. You start looking into it, and suddenly there are 100 languages, 1,000 courses, and you get so overwhelmed by all the choices that you just don't do anything at all.
And this just cuts through all of that noise. It seems so obvious, but you have to let it sink in. 100%. Every single person who has a career in tech at some point made the decision to just start. They wrote their first line of code. You can't just think your way into becoming a developer. You've got to take that first step.
So, okay, how do you actually start? Well, it basically boils down to 2 main paths. You can teach yourself, which is totally possible with amazing free resources like roadmap.sh. It gives you these incredible guides to follow. Or if you're someone who needs a little more structure, you can go for a coding bootcamp or even a traditional degree. One isn't better than the other. They're just different ways to get to the same place.
And speaking of that structured path, let's look at bootcamps. Do they actually work? Well, according to the source material, a bootcamp called TripleTen sees 87% of its grads get hired within just 6 months. That's a pretty compelling number, right? It shows that having that structured support system can really pay off. So what's the secret sauce? Why does something like that work so well? Well, it's the whole package. You're not just watching videos alone in your room. You're getting chances to work on real projects, you have tutors to ask when you get stuck, and you get help with the job search itself. It's that support system that can make all the difference, and it leads us perfectly into our next critical step.
Okay, you did it. You started learning. You know some of the basics. So, what now? This right here is the big turning point. You have to stop just consuming information and start creating things. This is where you go from someone who knows about code to someone who actually knows how to code.
I absolutely love this analogy because it's so perfect. You can read about bread theory and cheese science all day long, but you're not going to learn how to make a grilled cheese until you actually get in the kitchen and make one. It's the exact same thing with coding. You have to get your hands dirty. So many people get trapped right here in a place we call tutorial hell. And you know it because it feels like you're being productive. You're watching hours and hours of tutorials, but all you're doing is collecting information. You're not building any actual skill, any real experience. The way out is Project Heaven. This is where the real learning happens. You take what little you know and you try to build something with it. And let me be clear, it's going to be hard. You are going to get stuck a lot. You're going to break things. But that whole process of struggling, of Googling for answers, of finally having that aha moment when it works, that is where you level up.
And hey, you don't need to go build the next Amazon on your first try. Just look at the guy who made the site Neil.fun. His first projects were super simple websites, the kind of stuff a beginner could probably knock out in a weekend. Everyone, and I mean everyone, starts with the basics.
But then look at where he ended up. His newer projects are these wild, complex, interactive toys that millions of people play with. How did he get from A to B? It wasn't by watching more tutorials, it was by building, and then building something slightly harder, and then something harder than that. That's the power of just making stuff.
Now, I know what you might be thinking, but I don't have any good ideas. That's just another version of that paralysis we talked about. Don't let it stop you. Go to roadmap.sh. They have a whole section of project ideas. Or just Google beginner coding projects.
The goal isn't to build something revolutionary. The goal is just to build. Period.
So you've learned the basics. You've built a few projects. You're feeling good. Now you want to get a job. Well, that leads us to the final hurdle. The one that, let's be honest, can be really frustrating. The technical interview.
And this is where you enter what some people call LeetCode limbo. LeetCode is a website full of these little coding puzzles, and companies use them in interviews as a way to quickly test how you think and how you solve problems. Is it a perfect system? Probably not. But it's a system we have, and it's kind of like the secret handshake you need to learn to get into the club.
The most important thing to know about LeetCode is this. You cannot cram for it. It's not a test you study for the night before. It's a skill you have to build up slowly over months. You start with the easy problems, and you just chip away at it. Every expert you see solving these crazy hard problems, they all started right where you are, struggling with the easy ones.
Okay, we've made it to the end of our roadmap. We talked about why you should code, how to start, why you have to build things, and how to get through the interview process. So, what's the one thing that connects all of this? What's the real secret?
The path is really this simple. Step 1, just start. Pick a path and learn something. Step 2, make stuff. Take what you learned and build things with it. Anything. And step 3, get ready for interviews by practicing those LeetCode problems. That's it. That is the whole playbook. And that's it. The real secret isn't knowing Python or JavaScript or watching some massive 11-hour tutorial video. It's the experience. It's the muscle memory you build from getting stuck on a problem for 3 hours and finally figuring it out. That's what companies are hiring. They're hiring your ability to solve problems, which you can only get by, you guessed it, building things.
So, there you have it. The fog is cleared, the path is right there in front of you, all the excuses are gone. The only thing left to do is to take that first step. So let me leave you with this one question. Now that you know the way, what are you going to make first?